Hello and welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for you. Oh my goodness. So, tools to create 2022 to be your richest so far. Yeah. So, a couple things before we get to the tools. One, so far. What the heck does that mean? What we don't want to ever do is limit something. So we will often say so far. Like that was the most fun I've had so far. 2022 was the richest year I've had so far, meaning that we can actually go farther. There's more that's possible. So if you've ever heard that terminology from some of us crazy people who are sharing the tools from Access Consciousness, that's the energy with it. We're allowing it to go further and to be even better. So that's one part. The other part I want to talk about is richest. Yeah, what the heck does that even mean? For 2022, creating 2022 to be our richest year so far. Yeah, that's a thing that I personally love about the word richest. It can be money and wealth and cash, absolutely. It also can be friendships and playmates and travel and business and possibilities and orgasmic adventures and all sorts of things like that. So when I talk about creating 2022 to be your richest year so far, yeah, I mean it in every way, shape, form possible. Yeah. Okay, the other thing I want you to know is I do have some notes on my computer in front of me, so if you are watching this by video and you see me looking down, please know that is what I am doing. Yes. Now, the other thing, before we get to the tools, I would like to invite you to is a class that I have also called Creating 2022 to be your richest so far. It's coming up in January. You will find all the information on a link somewhere. If you can't find that, let me know. But I would love for you to come and play with us. This is going to be available in person and online. So a group of us from around the world and some bodies at my house. How the heck does it get any better than that? All right, so let's talk about tool number one. Now these tools are in no way, shape, or form order because there's so many that I don't have enough time in a radio show to share them all. So these are the ones that just kind of pop to share for now. So tool number one, my sweet friends, choose. If you would like to create 2022 to be your richest year so far, you have to choose it to be your richest year so far. Yeah. Now, the thing with choice. So when I'm talking about choice, I'm talking about it from the place of choosing action, like choosing. What am I choosing? And choosing every 10 seconds so that we're always aware of what we're creating with the choices that we're choosing. So when we look at something like creating 2022 to be our richest year so far, you want to be looking at the choices that you're choosing and are they actually creating that? So that could be where you are struggling with, some repaying some past expenditures, repaying some debt, and you're putting it off. Okay, you're just putting it off. You're not opening up the statements. You're not paying attention to the interest that's occurring. Anyway, that's adding up. That's not a choice towards creating 2022 to be your richest year so far. Now, I used a very linear example with that, my sweet friends, but really we want to just start being aware and being present and looking at the choices. And you can ask every day, what can I be and do different today to actualize 2022 to be my richest year so far? And that will also assist you to become aware of the choices that you could be choosing. And not so much in the moment that you ask that, but it'll assist you to become aware of them throughout the day. Yeah. Now that for a lot of people often sounds very exhausting, where they go, well, that's too much work. But guess what? If you're continuing to ask for something, but you're not taking action to actualize it, chances are the amount of self-judgment that you're doing to yourself is way more work than actually just getting present and taking action and moving forward with what's there to create. So when we talk about choosing to create 2022 to be the richest so far, yeah, there may be some uncomfortable choices in that. There may be some things in that you don't really want to do. And what if that's okay? Like, what if you just let yourself off the hook and you just say, okay, some of this stuff this year is not what I would like it to be. And I'm not saying this is the way it has to be. Some of you may not have any of those sorts of choices to make. I know for me, when I used to play a lot with credit card debt. I used to rack it up, and then I'd have to work really hard to pay it off. And I'm not doing that again. Within 3 to 6 months, I was back and usually had more debt. And so when I finally chose to change it, it really was the uncomfortable space of tracking my credit card usage every day. Now that you might think sounds intense, but guess what? I needed to do it. And not only that, I needed to do it for 5 or 6 years before I stopped doing it. So what I mean is that a lot of stuff in my business and probably a lot of people's lives is paid for by credit card. So what I knew was that the only way not to do what I'd done before, well, one of the ways to not do what I'd done before, was to actually ensure every time I used my credit card that I paid it off. And if I was going out, going to be somewhere in person, I didn't use my credit card. I used my debit card or cash. But for the online purchases where I required a credit card, I demanded of me that at the end of the day, I would go in and pay that off. And that just became a way of living for me, because I knew if I didn't, I would do the whole head in the sand trick. And I'd be, oh, that's no big. Oh, what's that, $20? Oh, that's fine. No, I was not going down that road again. And so I knew that was what was required for me. That was one of the choices for me to change. That was to choose to pay it off every day. Sometimes it even meant going in more than once a day into my bank accounts and paying it off. You know what? It worked. It worked. I have not chose that since, and I'm so freaking grateful, because I spent many of my adult years either getting a whole bunch of credit card debt in place or working really hard to pay it off. So this really contributed to me to changing it. And it was a choice that I required to choose and to choose and to choose again, because I knew if I just did it for a month, I was still going to go back to what I had done before. And so some of the choices that you might require to put in place might not be so fun, might not be the thing that you would love to do, but I promise you, if you're aware that they are what would create greater, it's going to change everything for you, my sweet friends. It's going to change everything. The other thing that me choosing that gifted me was the confidence in me, the trust in me. This was huge, because I had spent so much of my life doubting me, judging me, hating the choices I'd made, all the crazy. And by actually taking action on it and taking the action towards what was creating greater, I have so much trust in me now. I know I will take care of things. I know that if something's required to create something I would like, that I'll just do it. And this is huge. So know that It might not be so fun to start, but I promise you that it will ripple out and change your life in so many ways. Now, some of the choices that we are going to be making in order to be actualizing 2022 to be our richest year so far isn't necessarily going to be things we can know ahead of time. So they might just be things we become aware of. Now, how do we become aware of them? We want to use a really simple question. When a choice becomes available, truth, if I choose this, will it create the future I desire or decay the future I desire? So remember, you're already choosing towards 2022 to be your richest year yet. So when you ask that question and you get a yes, choose it. Do not hesitate. Do not play with distraction. Go. If you get a yes, go. And that's the way that you're going to be constantly choosing towards what you're asking for. Yes. Now, tool number 2 is something I have a radio show from many, many years ago, maybe even 2013, 2014. And it is called, I actually don't know I don't remember the name of the radio show. That's funny. But it's about making a demand. Maybe it steps to a demand or something like that. So this is tool number 2, is demand. Now, this is where people get really confused because they assume that if they're making a demand, it's to something outside of them. It's not. You can only demand of you. Have you ever tried to demand of your kids or your spouse or your family or your friends? Doesn't work that well. So a demand is about demanding you. So much like the energy when I was talking about choosing to pay off my credit card every day, it's the same. That's the demand I made of me. No matter what, I was going in to pay it off every day. It was a demand of me to choose that no matter what. So what that did was that allowed me then to actually become aware of when I was going to spend money if I actually had the money in my account to spend it. And I remember this one situation. It was probably, I don't know, maybe, I'm not even sure, a few years after I had started, and we were going to Australia for classes and to spend some of our Canadian winter in the beautiful sunshine. And I didn't actually have the money for our flights. They were about $16,000, I guess. We were, of course, at the front of the plane because a 24-hour flight, if I remember correctly, 24 hours, I mean, a long time. So they were a good chunk. And I was like, actually, I'm not putting this on my credit card when I don't have the cash to pay for it. And by having that demand of me, like, no, I knew I was going to Australia. I knew we were going, but I was not putting it on a credit card until I had the cash. And then within, I don't know if it was a week or a week and a half, I had the cash to do it. So how does it get any better than that? Like, truly, that demand of you will also inspire you to choose greater. I then had to look at, okay, what's it going to take? What's required? What can I sell? What sort of offer can I put out? What's required to actually get to Australia? And then it was. So choosing and demanding, these are two different and similar energies. Now, I want to go through the 5 steps to changing anything. And this is in one of the manuals. I don't recall. It's not Foundation Manual. One of the manuals that I have from Access Consciousness. So if we want to change something, step number 1 is to make a demand. So no matter what, I'm changing this. So this with me and the credit card stuff, no matter what, I'm changing this. Number 2, ask a question. What is it going to take to change this? What is it going to take? Now, when we ask that question, we don't have to know what it's going to take. We just ask that question, and believe me, there's a bunch of stuff that comes up, and then we destroy and uncreate all that stuff. Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyonds, which is a clearing statement from Access Consciousness. Step number 4 is to look at, okay, what choice do I need to make here? And start making those choices. So for me, when I made the demand that this credit card stuff stops, one of the choices was to start paying it off every time I used it. And then number 5 is to destroy and uncreate anything that doesn't allow you to receive your ask. So in this case, making the demand of us for 2022 to be our richest year so far, we would make that demand. We're choosing it no matter what. We're going to ask, what's it going to take for this to show up? We're going to pod and pock everything that doesn't allow it to show up. We are going to say, okay, what choices do I need to make here for this to show up with ease? Make those choices, and then destroy and uncreate anything that doesn't allow us to receive it. Whew. Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9 pod, poc, shorts, boys, and beyond. So if you're not familiar with the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, you can go to theclearingstatement.com for more information. But basically, we want to make that demand of us and choose it, and choose it, and demand, and choose, and demand, and choose, and receive. Okay, so we demand of us, but we receive from the universe. We receive from everything around us. Everything around us. Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, all 9 pod, poc, shorts, boys, beyonds. So tool number 4 is about out-creating. So whatever amount you made in 2021, or whatever richness you created and chose in 2021 or 2020 or previously, it's really about asking to out-create that. Now, we don't have to figure out the numbers and go, okay, I need to make at least $5 more. That's not what I'm talking about. Out-creating is about willing to be more of us today than we were willing to be yesterday. Yeah, so a lot of times people think that it's more from this place of doing better, working harder, forcing it, whatever it is, but it's not. It's actually out-creating is to be more of us today than we were willing to be yesterday. Yeah, so every day you want to be asking, what would it take to out-create me today? Now you can get a little bit more specific. What would it take to out-create my money flows today? What would it take to out-create my magic today? Like whatever it is you want to ask about, you can use it for that. And I do have a radio show about out-creating from, I'm not even sure when ago, but we'll have a link to all the radio shows that I mentioned, guys. The other thing, if you aren't familiar yet, if you haven't heard the news yet, we do have amazing show notes from every radio show now that if you are on my email list, you will get them sent to you every Sunday, at least Sunday in North America. And if you aren't on my list, you can go to my webpage, 𝘗𝘬𝘳𝘠𝑢𝑠.com, radio show, find the show notes. But you might as well just get on my list. I mean, what the heck are you waiting for? And you can find a link somewhere. If you can't, just reach out and I'll get the one for you to get on the list. And so without creating, we want to be asking that every day. The other thing is, you can ask to out-create other people. So let's say you run a business and you see somebody who runs a similar business and they have, let's say you facilitate classes and you have, you see somebody on Facebook had 200 people at their class and you maybe normally get 10. You can ask, all right, what would it take to out-create that person's class size? Now, you're not asking from competition. What you're asking for is, what would it take for me to be willing to be more of me today than they were willing to be of them when they created that class? So it's a totally yummy energy to ask and to really get the energy of and to start receiving from. You really want to get into the out-creation energy, especially with something like this, guys. Now, tool number 4. You want to stay in the question. Okay, we're looking at creating 2022 to be our richest year so far. You want to stay in the question of that. Like, what is that for you? What is the richest year so far for you? Possibly that's money related, wealth related, cash related. There's probably some other things though. There's probably some other ways that if you looked at, even if you look at 2021, where did you really have that rich energy? Where did you perceive that? Did you make some new friends, or did you really, connect with some people? Maybe they were people you already knew, or new people, doesn't matter. Maybe your business really changed direction and you're really feeling, rich in that. So rich from an energy, not rich from money. So you want to look at that, like what is rich for me? What is that for me? What does contribute to my life? What is possible in 2022 that's never been possible before? Yeah. What could I be being and doing different to actualize 2022 to be my richest year so far? Like, it just becomes this totally different spaciousness and energy, and just the staying in the question of it, along with the wonder. So it's a tool that if you've been around me for a while, you've heard me talk about it because I love it so much. I use it all the time. Is you just start to wonder. Like, I wonder what it would be like for 2022 to be my richest year so far. Like, I wonder what that would be like. So let's do this together right now, guys. I actually did this on a Facebook Live and a YouTube Live recently. So we'll put a link to it too, because I went on there to talk about something. I don't even remember the title of it. It was very recent. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll have a link. And it ended up being like an energy pull, a money energy pull, with me doing this. And because I was taking them through this I wonder question. So let's do it together. Yeah. So you can say this out loud with me, or you can just receive as I'm saying it. So I wonder what it would be like to create 2022 as the richest year so far. Now wonder about that. Like, wonder what that would be like. Yeah. I wonder what it would be like for 2022 to be my richest year so far. I wonder what that would be like. We specifically want to play with the energy of be like. We're not interested in what it looks like. We're asking about what it would be like. Yeah, I wonder what that would be like. I wonder what it would be like for 2022 to be our richest year so far. I wonder what that would be like. Universe, show me what that would be like. Universe, show me what I require to be and do different to actualize that. I wonder what that would be like. Yeah. And you don't even have to take that long with it, guys. Just a few minutes, just to get the energy of it and wonder about it, and truly, truly wonder about it, which will allow you to have so much space and so much magic, and then the universe can deliver. Yeah. Now, 2022 is starting out to be a very money magical month. We've got the 13 days of how to become money workbook. So we're going to do a chapter a day, January 1st to the 13th. Then January 14th for 9 days, we're going to do the advanced how to become money workbook. And then also the 2-day class or 2-part class of creating 2022 to be your richest year so far. Oh my gosh. And that's just what we've got on the books so far. How does it get any better? And also a foundation, December 27th to the 31st, 2020. We're going to bring in 2022 with a bang. So many ways to come and play, guys. I am so incredibly grateful for you. I wonder what it would be like to create 2022 to be our most richest year so far, with total ease and joy and glory. Anything that doesn't allow that to show up as if by magic, we destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9 POD POC shorts, boys and beyonds. Have an awesome week, sweet friends, and I look forward to chatting again next week.